Welcome back to High Country Homesteading. I'm Carly, and this is going to be part one of our spring garden seed haul. So I took advantage of MIgardener's Black Friday sale, and I wanted to just quickly go over the things that I purchased for the spring and that we're going to be starting in just a couple months, in probably around March, indoors. And I just wanted to show you what I'm going to be growing this year. And this is going to be basically the beginner gardener 101 set of seeds. These are going to be things, number one, most importantly, things that my family will eat, because I know that's very key in growing your own food, because my family doesn't, or at least not yet, eat things like turnips, radishes, kohlrabi. There's just lots of vegetables and things like that that my family doesn't actually eat right now, because number one, I've never incorporated them in my cooking, and number two, I don't know how to properly prepare them. There's some things that I don't yet have the skills to save somehow properly to make sure that they last. So those things I'm not growing yet this year, and will hopefully be in a future more expanded garden. But with the space that I do have, I wanted to make sure that I'm growing things that I know my family's actually going to eat and that I actually like, because I absolutely, number one pet peeve is food waste. I hate wasting food in any way, shape, or form. So I don't want to grow anything that's going to go to waste. So this is basically one of each, sometimes two of each, of the main things that I know that we want to grow this year and that we will actually eat. So there's not going to be any kind of special varieties or, really like culinary specialty. These are kind of like the basics of each fruit and vegetable that I could find, because I just want to make sure I know that I can grow them, because they might not grow in my climate and I don't know that, or they may not grow in the soil that I have and I don't know that yet. So this is kind of just like a baseline for all of the experimentation that we're going to be doing going forward. So this is like my control group of seeds, and I'm just excited to see if they even grow and what we do with them this year. So I've had this package for about a week, and I've just been too busy to actually open it, and I can't believe I've had that kind of patience, but I'm so excited to open them now. Now, to go over what we did this year. So for this past year's garden was my first garden I've ever had, and I had 3 boxes that we made just from scrap wood and doors and things that we found around the house, and they were about 3 foot by 7. So I had 3 of those, and we grew a couple herbs, we grew a few different varieties of flowers, but production wise for actual food source was not great. Out of about 6 or 7 zucchini plants, I probably got 4 small zucchinis that we consumed, so not good. Let's see, what other food did we actually eat? I think I got 3 or 4 tiny strawberries out of a strawberry plant. I didn't get any cabbage, no broccoli, let's see, no lettuce. The kale and the spinach in the fall got eaten before I could get my hands on it by deer. None of my carrots grew. The fall carrots grew a little bit, but they got mowed down by deer as well, and they tasted awful. So we are going to have to try that again. The only thing that did pretty well was butternut squash, and I still have some of those left over, but I got a couple of, small to medium butternut squash, I think about 7 to 8. And that's really what did best, besides the herbs. So I did do pretty well on dill, cilantro, and basil grew really well. So this year is going to be a whole different ball game. So adding to those 3 raised beds, I'm getting a little bit more than 1,000 square feet prepped for next year's garden. So this in this bag is what's going to go in there. And this is part 1 because I still have a lot more seed buying to do. This is mostly just vegetables and a little other things thrown in there, but I have a lot of flowers to buy, and I've already thought of a couple more fruits and vegetables that I'm going to want to pick up. Not that they're staples in our diet, but just to see if I could grow them, and I would eat them if they produced. So let's open this and get started. Okay, let's start with herbs. So the first one I have here is a broadleaf sage. Sage I did grow this past year, and it did very well for me. I think I bought a sage start. So I'm going to be growing this from seed this year, and I'm trying to learn how to use sage a lot more in my cooking. And I know it's used a lot in fall and winter cooking. So I'm excited to do better at growing this and using it this year. And I especially want to learn how to dry it and use it for fruit use. So sage definitely happening. Dill's definitely happening again because I love Greek food and I use a lot of dill in that. So we'll be doing dill, thyme, because also great for cooking, as well as rosemary. I have 2 different types of basil. I just have the Genovese basil, I believe it's pronounced. And then I also have lemon basil because I believe I've seen this said that it's really good for flower bouquets, and I really need some more filler greenery for my cut flowers this year. All right, rounding out the herbs, I have 2 packages of the Calypso cilantro because the cilantro grew really fast this past year and then bolted really quickly. So I think this year what I need to do is succession plant it a lot better. So I got 2 packages so that I can keep planting it over time and not run out really quickly right away. So that's what I have so far on the herb front. Let's go to melons. Now I'm curious because I live at a pretty high elevation and I don't know if anyone around me does melons or a lot of fruit, to be honest. I come from Florida, so I'm used to having a lot of fruit being grown around me, but I don't know how these are gonna do, but we are going to try. I bought one of the Honey Rock cantaloupe because I do really like cantaloupe, and we're just gonna see if this works. And my plan for these melons, except for the watermelon, is I envision between my boxes, I'm going to have arched trellises that connect them and kind of make a walkway through the center of the garden space. And I imagine my melons and some of my squash going up the trellises, and I've seen pictures of little squash and melons kind of like hanging down and being like really whimsical. That's what I picture. So we'll see if this works. I also have the green flesh honeydew, as well as the crimson sweet watermelon, which I'll do a watermelon patch on the ground because I know it'll probably get too big for the arch. And then I only bought 1 package of strawberry, and I'm sure I'm gonna get more because strawberry is my absolute favorite fruit, and I know I'm going to grow as much as possible, but I just want to see what kind of space I have in the garden first before I buy more, because I want to make sure I get a little bit of everything in instead of going hard on one thing. Okay, next is cucumbers. I don't eat as much cucumber as I see other people grow, and that's because I haven't really gotten into fermenting and ways to save them very well. So I'm just gonna start small with the cucumber. I got the National Pickling Cucumber as well as the Ashley cucumber. So I didn't grow cucumber last year. I only did zucchini. So we will see how those go. Okay, some other miscellaneous. I got 1 of the contender bean, and my family does eat a lot of green beans. Beans were a tricky one for me because I feel like in this beginning stage of gardening, I would have to grow so many beans, and I mean also like black beans and kidney beans, other hard beans. as well as ones like this, but I would have to grow so much in order to make enough for my family for how much we eat them. And I feel like that's just one thing right now, especially things like black beans that I can buy in big bulk bags and do that pretty easily and efficiently in an organic way as well. So I'm not focusing on beans in the garden this year. I wanted to save this space for something else, but 1 packet of beans just to see if they will grow. I have a packet of Utah tall celery, as well as 1 package of Black Beauty eggplants. And I know there's some really fun eggplants, but this was just the most classic, and we're just doing a baseline garden here, so I just stuck with classic. Okay, some other miscellaneous vegetables. I got an Alyssa Craig onion. I did not do garlic this year. I did not get garlic in, nor did I order garlic seeds for the winter because I just didn't know where I wanted to put them, and we hadn't built the garden space yet. So no garlic this year, but I'm gonna try the onions and see if they go. I have an Italian striped zucchini, which I hope does better than my zucchini last year. I got the golden bantam corn because I've seen all around me in a lot of farm areas that people did corn in my zone. So I think corn does well here, so I'm just gonna try a couple and see how it goes. We don't eat too much corn, but I know it's something really easy to freeze. So that's why I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I got the Waltham 29 broccoli. Broccoli and carrots are my favorite vegetables, so I would love for broccoli to work this year. I bought broccoli starts from somebody at the farmer's market, and they just got annihilated by bugs and never grew after that. So that, as well as this Copenhagen market cabbage, both of these things got annihilated by bugs as soon as I planted them and never moved an inch. So this year I'm going to try to figure out how to combat the bugs first before I plant so that we can try to mitigate that problem. All right, some leafy greens. I do really love spinach and kale. I like putting it in a lot of things. So I got the New Zealand spinach and the blue curled Scotch kale. Both of these things did well in my garden in the fall, but like I said, they got completely blown over by deer before I was actually able to harvest them. So we are going to be putting up fencing this year and hopefully deterring the deer a little bit. So hopefully these will get to fruition and I will be able to enjoy them. And then in addition to that, I got just an iceberg lettuce and a butter crunch lettuce. So we will see how those go. Okay, now on to squash. I really love buying spaghetti squash, and it is expensive at my store. So I just got a regular spaghetti squash, which I am very excited to grow because I think this is one of the hot ticket items that will actually save me a lot of the money at the grocery store if I can harvest these myself. And I also got the Waltham butternut squash because that is the one thing that did quite well for me this year. So I'm very excited to grow these again and hopefully get a lot more. I'm also doing the Table King bush acorn squash. I bought these from the grocery store and started cooking with them last winter and been trying out some recipes, so excited to have those. For the pumpkins, I just got little sugar pie pumpkins, and I think these are gonna be fun for my kids to plant in their own little gardens this year. Of course, some jack-o'-lantern pumpkins because that will be fun for them as well. I don't cook with pumpkin that much. I'm not a huge pumpkin flavored person. I'm not a pumpkin spice person. So these are more probably for decoration and for fun for my kids and to eat season like that. These Valenciano pumpkins, these white ones, I would like to decorate with, so we'll see if that works out. So probably the small ones like the acorn squash and the sugar pie pumpkins, I'm gonna try to do that whole whimsical trellising archway thing as well, since they're pretty small and I can probably manage them without them falling. Okay, carrots. I love carrots, and I was so sad about carrots this year, both time I tried planting them. They just did absolutely terrible. And I don't know why, but we're gonna try again. I'm probably gonna need more carrots than these, and I know I'm going to need to try to succession plant them throughout both seasons. But I just got the Danvers 126 carrot, just pretty standard. And then I'm also trying out a rainbow carrot, just because I thought it was fun, and we will see what happens with those. For peppers, my family doesn't eat a lot of peppers. We're not a spicy pepper family, and I know people go all out for peppers and so many different kinds, but we just don't have a need for that here. So we're not doing the habaneros and jalapenos or anything like that. So I'm mainly just sticking to bell peppers, and also my husband loves banana peppers on things like sandwiches. So I'm gonna try banana peppers, and I just have basically a yellow and a red bell pepper here to see if they grow and how they do. I've already thought of, I'm probably going to get serranos because I know those aren't terribly spicy, and perhaps a poblano, but they're not must-haves. I will just see if I have room. So that might be in part 2. All right, for tomatoes, I have never grown a tomato before. I have no idea what I'm doing in growing tomatoes, and that's something that I've been studying a lot on. So the things that I am starting with is the Amish paste tomato, because I've heard of this one a lot. The Homestead tomato, which I assume is pretty basic. Beefsteak tomatoes I like because I can stuff them kind of like a bell pepper. The large red cherry tomato, and then I also got the Grande Rio Verde tomatillo. And I don't use tomatillos a lot, but I do want to try to make salsa if these are successful. So going to try some of these. I'll see how many starts I get off of these, and depending on that, maybe I'll buy more. But you know, we're just dipping a toe in the water this year. And the only 2 things I have left are a couple of sunflowers, because I knew I'm gonna want sunflowers and I'm gonna be buying a lot more flowers, but I just bought them since they were on sale. I have the Autumn Beauty sunflower and then the Sunspot dwarf sunflower. I plan on buying a lot of flowers to go all the way around the garden, especially a lot of good pollinator flowers is really gonna be my focus this year. So that is all I have for part 1 of this haul, and I'm excited for part 2. I'm making notes and lists and things to make sure that I remember that I want, but I think that's pretty much it for all the food. I don't have any fruit trees. I think the only thing that grows around here are apples, and I know that's something we should probably start getting established for the future, but I know we also have blueberry patches around us, and so we're going to have to find other ways to get that type of produce. But for now, I think this is a good start. And if there's anything else that you think I'm missing that's a staple in your garden, let me know. And I'm just excited to see if any of these turn out this year. I'm hopeful, but I know that beginning garden years are a lot of failures and maybe a little bit success. And then as you keep going and going, hopefully you get more success over the years. So we will see how it turns out, but I am so excited for the future garden, and I can't wait to get it all prepped and ready and get these seeds started indoors. I've already bought some of my supplies like heat mats and trays and all the good stuff like that, which I've also never used before. So we're going to see if it turns out. So thank you for following along, and I will let you know when we're doing seed haul part 2 with all the beautiful flowers. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.